you're seeing this video today, that means a couple of things. Number one, I didn't screw it up and forget to hit record. But secondly, the pictures from this camera inside this case actually turned out. What's the camera inside the case? Well, funny you should ask, or not ask. You probably don't care. It is a Belfoca folder from the 1950s. And this camera was specifically gifted to me from my Uncle Gary. So shout out Gary, thank you. Apparently at some point in time he tried to sell it because we do have a price tag there on the case. But he decided to gift it to his degenerate nephew. And I've got a roll of Kentmere Pan 400 that I'm gonna shoot through it today. I'm out on the west side of our town, shout out west side of our town. And one cool thing about this side of Greenville, Tennessee, contrasting to the northeast side, which is very mountainous, very hilly, as we get to the west side, it gets very, very flat, and this is where most of our farmland is. So there's a lot of old barns, a lot of old structures out here that I think are beautiful and that I think would look great on this folder. So we're going to pop that out and try our dangdest to get something that looks worth a darn. So yeah, again, if you're seeing this video, something actually panned out, whether it looks good or not, it worked. One thing that I'm hoping this camera can do is scratch my 6x9 medium format itch, which thus far has only, in my mind, been able to be scratched by cameras like the Fuji GW690, which I currently don't have in the arsenal, but that's a bucket list camera for me. I'm hoping that this will subside the 6x9 just for a little bit longer, because the GW is not cheap, not a cheap camera. Enough yapping. I've got a composition in mind with that structure behind me that we're going to dial up and see if we can knock it out of the park. Real quick, I'm going to talk through a couple challenges today too with this camera. Number one being that my maximum shutter speed is only 250 or 1/250th of a second, and there's no actual rangefinder in this camera. So I'm using a rangefinder app on my phone to judge my distance and set my focus. Also, with my shutter speeds all being fairly slow, I've got the blue shutter release cable. I say it's because the shutter speeds are slow. It's probably just because I'm pretentious, but either way, we've got a blue shutter release cable. Let's go shoot some photogs. Gonna be challenging with that sun. I'm gonna rate my film at 200 just so I can try to keep shutter speeds as slow as possible, because I only have a 250th. Thankfully, this camera goes up to f/22. If you can hear this, that's great too. If you can't hear this, well, I'm talking for nothing, but let's dial it up. Forgot my freaking shutter release. No actual rangefinder. We have a sport finder, which is supposed to give you some sort of idea of a composition. Some would call it concepts of a composition, which I feel like that's most of my photography. It's concepts of a composition. I'm gonna scoot on in here. Also forgot my phone. I'm coming back. Don't roll the ankle, Garrett. Don't roll the ankle. Okay, let's cock this shutter and see what we can do. f/22, 2/50th of a shutter, pretentious blue shutter release cable. We're gonna no look this one. Oh yeah, that felt good. That felt good. This Belfoca also has no stop on the spool, so you do run the risk of double and triple and quadruple exposures if and you forget to advance your shot, but we didn't forget today. Subsequently, I've got a shot of this barn that was directly across the road from the first composition dialed up. One thing with 6x9 is on a roll of medium format 120, I think I get 9 frames. Somebody in the comments blast me if I'm wrong for my incompetence. And because I suspect the light is very similar as to what it was right there, we're going f/22 at a 250 again. Cock the shutter here. Let's check our composition. Not that we know what it actually is because it's just a sport finder. But here we go. No looker. Done. Moving onward. In case you needed to know that all of us are noobs at some degree, at some level in this photography thing, I've been composing through the sport finder with the 6x6 mask down. So that may be detrimental. That may actually help me. Who knows? But I've got this silo back here that I've got dialed up, going to go shoot at f/22 at 250 again, because it's still pretty bright sunlight out here. So we're gonna see how that turns out. Got my shutter pre-cocked because I've got to walk out here on the highway and try to not get obliterated while shooting this silo. I'm gonna shoot through these weeds right here, and hopefully we get the whole silo in the frame. Shutter cocked, F22, 1/250th, here we go. No pretentious blue shutter release. Okay, that's got it, that's got it. That's shot number 5. We're gonna not forget to roll to the next frame. You may not be able to see it, but there's a tiny little 5 there inside that red window. That's what I'm going by to see my next frame. Pretty cool tech for back in the day. Pretty cool tech. So this house behind me with the overgrowth on the roof is really what caught my eye whenever we were driving to my son's basketball game. This is the whole reason that I planned this trip with this specific camera, was because of structures like this one. So again, F22, 2/50th of a shutter, and try not to screw it up. Also, no pretentious blue shutter release cable for this shot because we're just running and gunning at this point in time. So I'm gonna try to compose this. I didn't realize that this was 105 millimeter, which is really like an 85 equivalent. So most of my comps have probably been way too tight, and I'm sure we'll figure that out in development. All right, here we go. Cock the shutter. This is another one of the structures that caught my eye on this route. It's just a little abandoned house. I think it's adorable. And we've got some really, really harsh sun hitting it right now, which should be fun for the black and white. I can't remember if I said this earlier, but I'm shooting Kentmere Pan 400, metering it at 200 so that we can rock some slower shutter speed since my max shutter speed is 250. Also, cameo appearance from the Pizzy, the K1000. I've got a couple more shots of Fuji 400, and since we do finally have some sunlight, figured I'd blow them. So we did bring back the pretentious blue shutter release cable for this one. Again, we're gonna go F22 at a 2/50th of a shutter, and this is shot number 7. So I've got 3 shots left on this roll. I do have 2 more rolls in the car, but I'm running out of time this morning because I've got a dryer that's supposed to be delivered. So I'm gonna try to blow these last 3 shots and head back to the house. But either way, been a fun morning out here. The wetness and kind of the mood of this earlier morning was fun, and now we're getting some sunlight, so we should have some fun shadows. So let's cock the shutter. Probably do a no-looker on this one, just again, for pretentious reasons, with the blue shutter release cable, and hopefully it turns out worth a darn. Here we go, shutter cock, 1/250th. We're just gonna focus to infinity, might as well. And we're gonna go no-looker for the boys. Oh, that felt good. Oh yeah, that felt real good. All right, let's advance this bad boy. This actually has 2 windows on the back of it because again, we have a 6x6 mat that we can put in there. So I can shoot 6x6 or 6x9 with this, but I figured why not waste the most amount of money that I possibly could and shoot 6x9. Well, we just got done with what I thought was the 8th shot, but it was actually the 9th shot. So this is an experiment in what happens when you finish before you think you should be done, if you know what I mean. Film, that is. We finished the roll of film sooner than I thought I should have finished the roll of film. I thought I was on shot 8. Apparently I was on shot 9, or I'm an idiot and I only get 8 shots per roll with this camera. Either way, fun morning. Appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. I've got to go wait for a dryer to be delivered so that it doesn't get sent to somebody else's house. But yeah, again, fun morning with the Belfoca folder. Thanks again to Uncle Gary. Like I said at the beginning, if you see this, that means these pictures turned out. If not, I'm a blooming idiot, and it was a good day anyway. Hey, also, while you're at it, if you liked this video, want to see more content like it in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. I love growing this community here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one, and we will see you in the next.